Hello, everyone. It's Sibyl Star, and I am here to give the astrology forecast for the Virgo new moon. Now, this new moon occurs at 4 degrees of Virgo on August 27th at 1:17 a.m. Pacific time. So what does Virgo mean? That's kind of the place to start. What is the archetype of Virgo? The energy that we're going to be working with for the next 30 days as the sun transits this sign. So to begin with, Virgo is the Virgin. And what Virgin actually means is one who is whole unto themselves. It is the archetype of the priestess, and it is also one of the archetypes of the divine feminine in the zodiac. The sign of Virgo is associated with Mother Mary as well as Isis. And so, as I said, it is the priestess archetype. And so it has to do with sacred work. So, what does that mean? Virgo, I like to call Virgo the god of small things, because Virgo teaches us that there is no difference between the sacred and the mundane, that it is all about our own mindfulness as we approach whatever it is we are approaching. And so the sacred work could be, ceremony. It could be something in the spiritual realm, but it is also just simply washing dishes, or as they say, before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. It's all about our state of consciousness as we live our lives. That is what Virgo teaches us, and how we use our mind, because it is ruled by Mercury. Virgo brings in a humility and service, and these are both gateways to heaven. Virgo, as I said, is the god of small things to me, and it's like, random acts of kindness, and just all the different ways we walk in the world in a state of humility. Virgo is logical, organized, and discerning. Virgo constantly tries to create order out of chaos. And the truth is, the minute you turn your back, it goes back to chaos. So, it asks the question, how much disorganization can you live with? Because it will drive you crazy and that is one of the shadow sides of Virgo, is perfection, is, as spiritual beings, we're always perfect. As human beings, we'll always be imperfect. And so it's important to be able to recognize that. Now, Virgo does recognize, it has a sense of objectivity and where improvement needs to happen. Which is good, because we can always improve. The key is, like I said, is that it does not lead to perfection, but to self-improvement, and self-criticism can be a shadow. Virgo can have some very challenging self-talk. I have myself have Saturn in Virgo, and it's self-talk has been one of my how I talk to myself has been one of my major areas of teaching, because I understand now that how I talk to myself is what creates my world. And it's so important to be as kind to myself as it is to others. And that's what I tell all my clients with a strong Virgo imprint, because that self-criticism can just simply be crippling. And the truth is, how we heal it is through self-acceptance of our imperfections as an aspect of unconditional love. Now, Mars at this new moon, Mars is in a tight square to this new moon, and it's at four degrees of Gemini, whereas the new moon is at 4 degrees 3 minutes. So it's a very tight square. And so we're going to experience Mars in Gemini for the next 7 months, because Mars goes retrograde in October. So it's a much longer sojourn through this energy. And so what is the teaching? Well, Mars, number one, is the warrior energy. It represents our will, our direction in life, our passion, our desire nature, how we go about getting what we want. And it is actually the handmaiden to the sun, or the ego. And in Gemini, Gemini is all about communication. So it's how we align our will with our words to lead us in our direction in life and to help us get what we want in life. Uh, or to follow our passions, our desires, how we use our words to align with our will. And so the teachings are very much around communication and what are we creating with our words? Because the truth is, our words are magic, and it brings with it the warning to think before you speak. And Mars and Gemini can also, as they say, have many irons in the fire. So there is a tendency to be very busy. Now, the square, what does the square mean? So, as I said, Mars is the warrior, and so it can bring in some impatience, irritability, and annoyance. And in Gemini, there's the potential to use our words as weapons, and arguments are possible. So we're going to get a big teaching over the next 7 months, like I said, on how we communicate and how we can become more effective communicators to accomplish our goals. Okay. But the square is actually very inner focused. So it's very much, once again, becoming aware of self-talk. And being the warriors tells us, we can beat ourselves up and just really say terrible things to ourselves. And it's just so important to develop some awareness, because how we talk to ourselves is creating our reality. And Gemini is also the trickster. And so it teaches us how to not take ourselves so seriously. As I shared earlier, I have Saturn in Gemini, and so I have a very strong self-critic aspect of myself. So I decided at one point I was going to deal with this through art, and I created a soul collage around this inner critic that I have. And what I discovered when I actually looked at the image was that it was hilarious. And that the message was, Sibyl, you're just taking yourself way too seriously. And I think this is another message, is when we start that self-talk, is to just kind of take a step back and just see and allow yourself to find some humor in the situation, and how you may be taking yourself too seriously. It will really lighten the situation and help you see more clearly and work with it better. And the truth of it is, when we are hard on ourselves, then it often spills out into where we are hard on others. Now, another shadow of this, Mars square the sun, Mars and Gemini square the sun in Virgo, is, like I said, too many irons in the fire, a chronic busyness, the potential to get so caught up in tasks that we may forget what is important in life. Now, this is an energy that you can get a lot done, and that is true. But it's just so important to prioritize, to use Virgo discernment to prioritize, so that you get done what's really important, not just staying busy, because sometimes it's easier to stay busy than to feel what is actually happening in our lives. Mercury, the ruler of Gemini and Virgo, is in Libra. And so this brings in, of course, our communication with others will also be very important, and to find some balance in our ability to communicate. Now, there is a T square at this new moon, which is very powerful, and it is the transiting Saturn Uranus square that is coming going to be coming into its last almost exact aspect with each other in October. And this has many meanings, but one of the main meanings, I believe, is Uranus has to do with the need, and of course Uranus is also conjunct the North Node, which is the way forward. So Uranus tells us it is where we have a need for evolutionary growth, and Saturn is that resistance to growth. It is time to change and grow, but there are areas in our life where we have resistance. And so with Venus, when this comes into alignment with Venus right now, it brings in our relationship with others. Okay. And so, one of the ways I see this manifesting in the outer world is what we're seeing through the media and the many different ways that impact us is the promotion of the divide and conquer. The thing is, we are moving as we move into higher frequencies, we're moving more into unity consciousness. But I'm just going to say, though, there are those who have vested interest in the people not moving into unity consciousness. And so it's so important to realize the manipulation that is happening to make us turn on each other so that we won't be united. It's so important to not engage and participate in this because it will grow with attention. There will always be others who have different perspectives than ourselves. We each are a different face of creator and have come in to have a different perspective. That's why one of the reasons that we individuated from source or source, we're still source energy. We're just a different facet. We're like one of those disco balls with a gazillion different facets. And so when we recognize that, we can see that it doesn't make someone else wrong nor us right, where they're just different perspectives. And as we move into unity consciousness, that doesn't mean we all share the same perspective. There is diversity within unity. That's unity consciousness. But where we are all connected with the shared purpose and a shared understanding, and recognizing that we are different perspectives, but are all one. Okay, it's like when the wave becomes the wave, but is still connected to the ocean, and we need to remember both pieces. And it is also, the galaxy, the Milky Way galaxy, one of the primary uh, teachings for evolutionary growth here is through polarity consciousness. And the thing is that polarity, in physics and all ways is always going to be here. The question is, how do we work with it? And it is about the integration of this polarity of the light and dark, of the different aspects of ourselves within ourselves, and to not project it outward, to not participate in the us versus them mentality. It is about releasing judgment of others as right or wrong, while still using discernment to discover what is true for each of us. There is they're both true. Okay. Now, another piece that I see in this is that Saturn is known as the Lord of Karma, and as Saturn is opposing Venus, it brings in karmic relationships. And Uranus is very much about freedom, breakthrough, breaking through these old energetic patterns. We, once again, as we move into higher frequency vibrations, we can't take this karma with us. We have to work it out now. And so we might be finding that we're really working hard on completing karma with so that we can be free of it. But the other one is that during this time, we might find that we become free, that relationships suddenly end because our business with them is done, because we are in a period of tying up karma with a lot of people so that we can have a different kind of relationships that are not so much karma based, but choice based. Okay. Because we can't, like I said, we cannot take this old karma into the new paradigm. And the last piece of this that I want to talk about is once again Saturn and Venus. When they come together, it can often bring up feelings of not feeling good enough or comparing ourselves to others. And this is also an area of breakthrough, of energetic breakthrough, because this is old conditioning and imprinting from the patriarchal paradigm. Once again, pitting us against each other, comparing us with each other, but especially the piece of not feeling good enough. It kind of feels to me like this is part of the matrix of original sin that blankets the earth. And when we unplug from that, we unplug from a huge piece of conditioning so that we can be our true, we are embodied light and love. It's about remembering that, and that is the return to source as we break free of these places where once again we feel unworthy, and where we can bring in really damaging self-talk, and it impacts the field, not only our field but others' field. Okay. So there is potential liberation as as energetic upgrades come in to help us break through this old messaging and energy and emotional patterns that are just not true. Um, Saturn and Virgo both have a very strong inner judge. So this new moon brings an opportunity for self-love and self-acceptance, accepting our dark as well as our light, and which is the integration of polarity. And the truth is, when you think of two magnets, when they come together and you have two opposites, when there comes to a point where the resistance ends and they come together, and it kind of creates an explosion of energy and something completely new. And that's what we're doing. This is about fusion, and it is about the magic that comes as with the integration of polarities. But it's within ourselves. When we project it outward, the magic doesn't happen. The dance of us versus them just continues. Okay. Now, we have also 5 planets retrograde at this new moon. And on August 28th, Uranus in Taurus joined the 4 other planets that are retrograde, which are Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune, and Pluto. So we have all 5 planets, outer planets, retrograde, and Mercury will join them on September 9th as well. And so when planets are retrograde, they're actually closer to the Earth and so have greater impact. And when planets go retrograde, it's a signal that we have gotten ahead of ourselves, that we need to slow down and look within for the truth. The outer world is in chaos. The real truth lies within. And our intuition is strong. And we may also spend this time reevaluating many aspects of our lives. And so for the next couple of months, mainly throughout, well, we've got let's see, there's 5 planets retrograde now. There'll be 5 retrograde through mid-October. Then several of them, I think Pluto goes retrograde first, then Saturn. But then after that, Mars goes retrograde. So we've got just a tremendous amount of retrograde motion. And of course, it's an optical illusion. Planets don't actually go retrograde. There is a difference in speed, and they appear to move backwards and take different paths. So anyway, it might feel like energy's kind of log jammed, like things are not moving forward well. And the truth is, that's because the focus is meant to be on the inner world and the changes taking place within, in response to what has been happening. And so there may not be as many changes in the outer world because there's meant to be this inner focus. Or let's put it this way, the energy may not be moving as well because there is meant to be focus. And especially with Uranus and Saturn, both retrograde and coming into this square at 18 degrees of Aquarius and Taurus, them coming together in this final dance, it's kind of like, it feels like this pressure. Once again, the integration of opposites, even though it's a square, it's happening within ourselves. It's the integration of polarities within ourselves and the places where we're having energetic breakthrough, okay, and magic happening. Mercury is retrograde from September 9th through October 2nd at 8 degrees of Libra. And of course, all the normal Mercury retrograde guidelines apply. It's a good time to edit, to reevaluate places in our lives, to redo anything. And in Libra, it's very much about a focus on communication. Okay, so you might have to might have to redo some of your communications with others, like evaluation of them, and making changes in how you do that. Okay. All right. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is something a little fun, and that is the Sabian symbol for this new moon. It is a man becoming aware of nature spirits and normally unseen spiritual energies. As we are making this shift, there are so many beings here to help us. We are surrounded by spiritual help. All we need to do is ask. You know, the angels, the devas, the fairies, the our Star Nation relatives. There's so many here. We just need to ask for help, and the help is there because we're not making this shift alone. And one very special and important magical being that is in the field is, as we are passing through the constellation of Draco, and especially over its primary star Thuban, which is August 28th through 31st. So if you have planets from 5 to 8 degrees of Virgo or Pisces, this star, this fixed star, may be very prominent in your chart. And this is where the dragons come from. It's the constellation of the dragon, and they are very magical and enlightened, but fierce beings. You know, so if you're connected to them, you might find their presence really strong. And I really believe that if you have a dragon as one of your spiritual allies, you've earned it. I don't think dragons come easily. They come by doing our work and going into the heart of our own dragons, as they make us look at our dragons. It is about self-empowerment by looking at our shadow. And I don't think that it's coincidence that I'm talking about this. And the series on HBO, The House of the Dragon, starts on September 2nd, just right as we move through this energy of the dragons being in our field. So anyway, I hope this video was helpful. And if you liked it, please check like and subscribe. And I will have information in the box below about how to contact me if you would like a reading. And just wishing you all a wonderful month. May you be humble. May your light shine. Namaste. Thank you.